A year used to feel like forever. Now it's gone in a blink. Think about summer when you were 8. It lasted an entire lifetime. School, heat, bike rides, long afternoons that never seemed to end. Now think about last year. Can you even find it? Somewhere between then and now, time changed. Not the clock on the wall, not the calendar, your time. The time you actually feel. And the older you get, the faster it goes. You've probably noticed it. Maybe you've joked about it. But here's what nobody tells you. It's not a feeling. It's not nostalgia. It's a measurable, documented, completely real shift in how your brain processes time. And once you understand why it happens, you can actually do something about it. Time isn't getting faster. Your brain is recording less of it. Every year you've lived so far has been filed away as memories, but those files aren't equal. Some years are thick, packed with detail, full of firsts you can still picture. Other years are almost empty, 1 or 2 events, and then nothing. And here's the truth that changes everything. The years that feel the shortest, those are the years your brain barely bothered to save. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why that happens, and what you can do right now to make the years ahead feel longer. Let's go back to 1897. A French philosopher named Paul Janet looked at this problem and proposed something simple, but devastating. He said, every year of your life feels long or short based on how much of your life it represents. When you are 5 years old, 1 year is 1/5 of your entire existence. That's 20% of everything you've ever known. Of course, it feels enormous. When you are 50, 1 year is 1/50th of your life. 2%, a rounding error. The math doesn't lie. By the time you are 40, a single year feels less than 3 times as long as it did when you were 10. By 70, it feels 8 times shorter. Janet called this the proportional theory of time perception, and for over a century, it was the best explanation we had. But here's what's fascinating. It's only half the story, because the proportional theory explains the math. It doesn't explain the mechanism. It doesn't explain what's actually happening in your brain, the physical reason time seems to shrink. For that, we needed a man willing to throw himself off a building. His name is David Eagleman, neuroscientist, author, researcher at Baylor College of Medicine. In 2007, he ran one of the strangest experiments in the history of time perception. He wanted to test whether frightening experiences actually slow time down, or whether that's just a trick of memory. So he asked volunteers to free fall. Not with a bungee cord, not with a safety net they could see. They fell backwards off a platform 150 feet in the air. They were caught by a net below. But in those seconds of falling, but with the ground rushing up, he wanted to know, does time actually stretch? Here's what he found. While they were falling, the volunteers couldn't read a number flashing on a wristwatch-sized device. The numbers were flickering faster than normal perception. If time had truly slowed down during the fall, they would have been able to read them. They couldn't. Time didn't actually slow down. Their brains just remembered it differently. Because fear, novelty, extreme experience forces your brain into overdrive. It encodes every single detail. Every millisecond gets filed. And when you look back at a memory that dense, full of detail, full of firsts, it feels longer than it was. And honestly, what comes next is even stranger, because the opposite is also true. A routine Tuesday encodes almost nothing. Wake up, drive to work, eat the same lunch, come home, sleep. Your brain barely registers any of it. It's all familiar, all predictable. Nothing new to file. And when you look back at that day, that week, that year, there's almost no memory there. It's gone. And that is the real reason time accelerates as you age. Not because years get shorter, because your brain stops recording them. Now here's the part nobody talks about. Ask any older adult to list their most vivid memories. Go ahead, try it with your grandparents or a parent. You'll get something strange. Almost every major memory, the sharpest, clearest, most emotionally loaded ones, will cluster around one specific window of their life, ages 15 to 25. Researchers call this the reminiscence bump. It shows up in study after study. It doesn't matter where the person grew up, ages 15 to 25, every time. And the reason is exactly what Eagleman's freefall experiment shows. That decade is relentless with firsts. First love, first heartbreak, first time living alone, first time choosing your own life. Every week brings something your brain has never had to process before. So the brain records all of it in extraordinary detail. which is why, decades later, that window still feels enormous, still feels vivid, still feels, frankly, like it lasted longer than any other period of life. While the last 10 years, for many adults, a blur. And then we discovered something that changed everything, because understanding why the blur happens reveals a way out. Your brain is an efficiency machine. It is always, always trying to save energy. And one of the ways it does that is by not encoding the familiar. Why waste resources recording something you've already seen 1,000 times? Why log the same commute again, the same breakfast, the same office, the same route home? Your brain looks at all of that and says, I've got it. Moving on. It files the routine under one single tag, same as before, and that's it. No detail, no timestamp, no new memory created. This is called predictive coding. Your brain runs a constant prediction engine. It's always trying to guess what comes next. When the prediction is correct, when nothing surprises it, it barely registers the event. When the prediction fails, when something genuinely new happens, the brain lights up. It pays attention. It records. And here's what this means for time. The more predictable your life, the less your brain records, and the faster time feels in retrospect. Children experience almost everything for the first time. The brain is constantly surprised, constantly failing its predictions, constantly forced to record. So childhood feels enormous in memory. Adulthood, for most people, becomes a loop of confirmed predictions. And loops feel short. Here is the twist that nobody wants to admit. The problem isn't age. The problem is novelty starvation. Your brain didn't slow down. Your brain didn't get worse. Your brain got efficient. Too efficient. It learned your life so well, your routine, your surroundings, your patterns, that it stopped taking new notes. And when you look back at a year with no new notes, there is nothing there. The year happened. You were present for it, but your brain decided it wasn't worth filing in detail. So it collapsed into nothing. The feeling that time is speeding up is not a sign that you're getting old. It is a sign that your brain has stopped being surprised, and you can change that. Your brain measures life in firsts, not seconds, not years, firsts. First time in that city, first time trying that thing, first time choosing something genuinely different. Every genuine first forces a prediction error, forces the brain to sit up, pay attention, and record. And that recording is what makes time feel long. That's what childhood was. Not magic, not innocence, a relentless stream of things your brain had never seen before. And here is what that means for you right now. You can't go back to being 8, but you can feed your brain new things to encode. A different route, a different skill, a different country. It doesn't have to be a free fall off a building. It just has to be new, because your brain doesn't count years. It counts memories. And a year full of genuine firsts will feel longer, richer, and more real than 5 years of comfortable routine. So the question isn't whether time speeds up. The question is whether your time will. And now you know. It's your move.